the Justice Secretary has announced that transgender prisoners with male genitalia should not be sent to women's jails. In a parliamentary statement, Brandon Lewis said his reforms would also affect trans women convicted of a sex offence. It follows the controversial case of Sally Ann Dixon, who was jailed for 20 years over indecent assaults against children committed when she was known as John Stephen Dixon. It was reported Dixon is serving that sentence in a women's prison. The reforms don't impose a blanket rule, and there will still be exemptions on a case-by-case basis. I don't know about you, but I felt this was the right ruling. I felt that we needed proper guidelines, and to me it was very clear. If you commit those offences and you are genotypically male, so I'm going back to my medicine here, if you are male by birth and you still have male genitalia and you haven't fully transitioned, you are male, and I think we need to be very clear that you should then not be in a female prison. It seems eminently sensible.
I think you make a good point, and I agree with it for the most part, but we're talking about, in total, of all trans people in prison, there's 200. Of those who identify as trans women, it's less than 150.
So what's the problem with that?
So what I'm saying is, David, is that actually we should have they could easily fit onto one wing. We have certain wings for people who commit certain offences. We could have a wing for just for trans women and another wing for trans men. That wouldn't be a problem. I don't see why that can't be a solution.
Except that you're talking about people from around the country, and so for some people that would be an awful long way.
They're not all in one place.
It doesn't matter. I'm sorry, that doesn't matter. If you get arrested and charged in Birmingham, you can still be put in a prison at the other end of the country. I don't care about your family visitations. If you're in prison, you're in prison. I don't care who's got to travel how far to see you.
But JJ, one of the issues that I have, I mean, instinctively on these issues, I tend to be, you know, love everybody, respect everybody, Pollyanna, you know, all that sort of thing. But on this issue, I don't. But on this issue, it's really dangerous sometimes. And also looking at some of the Scottish evidence. So the latest evidence from Scottish prisons is that half the transgender prisoners in Scottish prisons transed after going to prison.
Yeah.
Now, that tells you something. They want to be in female prisons. It's not that they genuinely think that they are female. And so they're playing the system. There's real evidence that that's happening.
That sounds a bit of a leap to me. It's not like you can just sort of press a button and trans. I mean, part of the issue
but
here
that's the point, is that sometimes you can just self-identify, and you can self-identify in Scotland. So I'm saying that I agree, but I agree with David that there's too much at risk. These female prisoners are at risk, and there's too much, you know, ability for some of these male prisoners who are sent, particularly for sexual offences, to prison, then say, actually, I fancy being in a female
prison. But isn't
prison.
that the point, then, that you actually do it, as this actually says, on a kind of pretty much a case-by-case basis?
I think you're absolutely right.
Because if you have somebody who's gone in there for, I don't know, a minor I mean, it wouldn't be for minor theft, but shoplifting or whatever it would be, and they're no real threat to anybody, and then yes.
I mean, there aren't enough of them to make it impossible to do the case-by-case
to sort it out.
And the other difficulty is it's such a spectrum. You know, to actually transition takes a very long time. It's a long, old process. So at what point do you become one thing or another? I mean, I've been doing quite a lot of work on this because I've been involved in promoting a film it's called No Turning Back, and it is about people who have transitioned and felt rushed into it.
Like with the mermaids.
And then are trying to go back again. And what I've learned from that, because this is a whole new subject for me, I've basically tried to avoid this subject because it is so toxic. Yeah. I hadn't fully appreciated just what a long and basically lifelong process it is. And once you embark on this, even if you sort of change your mind, you can't just sort of... I mean, I suppose it's obvious in a way. Yeah. But this is profound stuff. Yeah. It's not just...
And also, I mean, because I know somebody who's sort of, you know, who's taken that long journey, and there's a point for quite a long time when they actually genuinely don't know which loo to use.
Right. So there you go. That kind of shows how complicated it is.
It is.